Hey guys. Okay, so thank you so much for bearing with me this morning. We are going to be going through today 3 things to include in every pitch. So this actual live broadcast is going to cover pitching in general, but specifically like things that you want to make sure that you include in every pitch. And this is when you're pitching for engagements. And I know that I sent you all yesterday a sample pitch that you all can use to send things out. But the truth of the matter is your pitch is going to get better and it's going to need to be customized to the person that you're pitching. So if you're coming in and you have already sent a pitch through this challenge, then just put yes or put pitched in the comments, PITCHED. If you have not, hello. If you have not, then let me know that as well. Here's the thing. We're going to go through what to include in the pitch, but the number one challenge that I see speakers having is that they just don't pitch. Like they're not pitching or they're not pitching consistently. And then after the pitch issue, let's say they are pitching, then the big issue becomes how they're following up. So you can't just send the pitch. You have to actually follow up. The emails are posted in the group. So if you are in the group, then you've gotten all the emails. They post in the group every day at 6 a.m. Other than that, you should make sure we have your correct email address. You can always email admin@passionpurposeandpaychecks.com, but we do post them in the group as well, just to make sure everyone gets them. But let's chat about pitching. So the number one thing that you want to include, and if you all are ready for the first thing that you want to include in every single pitch, then please do drop a 1 in the comments. If you're ready for number 1, drop a 1 in the comments for the first thing that you should include in every single pitch. But as an aside, while you all are getting ready for that, I'm seeing the ones come in, or I will start seeing the ones come in. You do want to make sure that you are pitching. You have to send it out. I can't reiterate that enough. So first things first, even if your pitch isn't perfect, even if you're not quite sure what to say, you don't think that you have everything together, you're still learning, etc., then you do want to make sure, despite all of that, you do want to make sure that you're actually pitching. So that's going to be a really, really, really important thing to do. So keep that in mind, guys. Like, just send the pitch. Send the pitch. It's going to be weird at first, but you're going to do it. It's going to be fine. All right. So one of the first things that you want to make sure you include in every single pitch is a link to learn more. And this is even when you're sending just an informational inquiry. And by informational inquiry, I mean, you may find an event looks good and you're just sending an email that says like, hey, I would love to learn more about your 2020 retreat. Who do I talk to about speaking at the retreat? Or who do I talk to about booking speakers for the retreat? There's different thoughts on this. You may want to be someone who sends out those informational inquiries, and then maybe in your email signature is where you could add in information about you speaking, or it could say something like a quick call to action that's like, click here to learn more, hear about me speaking. Now, some of you have sent me your websites or you've posted them in the group and I've looked at them. If your website doesn't give someone enough information to hire you, then that's not what you want to link to. So you don't just want to link to a website to show that you have a website. If your website does not tell them what you speak about quickly, then you don't want to include that, because that's not going to help them to find out more about you. You want to link to your whatever you have that's the best. If you have a small clip of you speaking somewhere, then that's what you want to link to. If you have something else that's like even better than that, like you have a press interview or something that you think will be really beneficial, then great, maybe you want to link to that. But you definitely want to link to something that will actually show your ability as a speaker and will get them interested in booking you more. So always have a link to learn more. Number 2, you want to make sure that you have something in your, we'll do a link to learn more. That's number 1. Number 2, you definitely want to have a call to action in your pitch. And this should be the last sentence of the pitch that you're sending out. So what I see a lot is when people send out their pitches, what they do is they'll send out a pitch and it'll be so long and then there won't be a call to action. So one, the shorter your emails are, the better. The shorter your emails are, the better. An email that is 3 sentences will be responded to 5 times more often than an email that is long. So the shorter, the better, especially if you don't know them. And the psychology behind that is going to be, if someone doesn't know you and they're already asking you to do a lot of work for them and you don't know them, you don't trust them, you don't like them, it's just not going to work. Like, I'm not willing to do all that work, read this long email for someone that I don't know. So you want to have a short, succinct email. And there's different opinions on how exactly to do this. I've tried it both ways. Sometimes I send out a longer pitch as my first email, and then I send out a shorter pitch as my second email. So sometimes I send out a longer pitch as my first email, and then my second email, I send out a shorter pitch. But the important thing is, in every single pitch that you send out, whether it be long or short, and short is better, short gets responded to more often, you want to make sure that your call to action is very clear and concise. So it shouldn't be, you know, so if you're sitting, if it's the first email and you're like, hey, are you the person who hires speakers? Then the second email that you send out, the second email that you want to send out will say something along the lines of, hey, my name is so-and-so. I actually speak on a couple of different topics. You can learn more about that here. If you are the person who is booking speakers, are you available for a 15-minute call Tuesday at noon? So if it's that specific, it's just very, very easy for them to say yes or no to, and they're more likely to actually respond to your email. But if you send out a long email and they don't know you yet, then they're less likely to respond. So you do want to make sure that what you're sending out will get a response, and you have a higher probability of getting a response. If it's longer than 5 sentences, the probability of you getting a response is just really low, unfortunately. So make sure you have a call to action on your through your actual pitch. That's going to be really, really important for you to have that. And are there any questions about pitching in general? Because I know that you all have started to do pitching already. And some of you have sent out pitches. Other people have calls set up already. I've seen some of those messages in the group as well. So if there are any questions about this, please let me know. And you have that sample pitch there. So you have to have a link to learn more, a call to action. And then one of the things we haven't talked about just yet that's also critically important is going to be making sure that you have a personalization. Like, there's something that personalizes the email. Here's what I recommend. If you know for a fact that the entity that you're pitching does indeed hire speakers, like you're not guessing about it, you know for a fact because you've done your research on the speaker, you've used the LinkedIn method, or you've used another method to figure out whether or not they hire speakers, or maybe you know someone, or this is a referral, I recommend that you highly personalize that email. I do not recommend that you send out the same email that you send to every single person to that person. If it is someone that is for sure the decision maker, then make sure that you personalize that email. Like, there's no reason not to personalize the email. But in any event, every single email you send out has to have some level of personalization, Now, the extent to which you'll actually be personalizing will vary. It'll vary. But you do want to make sure that you are personalizing each and every email that you send out. So it's not okay. You have to have you have to have their name. You have to have their name in the email. You cannot send an email that doesn't include a name. And it seems very simple to say that, but it doesn't. You'd be surprised at how many people send emails without names. 2, when you look at personalization, there's a couple of things that you should mention in the email to personalize it. Not just their name, their organization's name, the name of the event. So the organization's name and the name of the event. So if you can have those couple of things in there, that's going to be really, really helpful. And any type of tie you have to the person. So your email is more likely to get responded to if you have some type of personal tie. And it doesn't really matter what it is. It could be like, hey, Kate, saw that you also went to a Big Ten school. So did I. And by the way, I follow you on LinkedIn. I noticed you have this conference coming up. I would love to speak next year. Would you be the person I talk to about that? And if not, who should I speak with? So it could be a very distant connection between you and the person that you're speaking with, but you for sure want to have some level of personalization. Now, there are some exceptions to this. In some markets, like the college market, I have done things where, like, I send out 300 emails a week to different colleges. I don't know if they're the right person or not. I'm not sure if that school even has a budget. A lot of them are smaller schools. They don't really have a budget. We were just mass emailing. In that sense, we weren't really able to personalize a lot at all. So the response rate is a little bit lower. The quality of the lead is a little bit lower, etc. It's just more like a pray and spray method. And sometimes that works. You're still going to get cold emailing works like 1% to 2% of the time, not a lot of the time. So that's the other thing. The reason personalization is so important is because you all should know that cold emailing only works 1% to 2% of the time. So your job when you're finding a lead is to make sure that is a warm lead. You want to make every lead warm before you actually email them, which means that you have to find some way to make the event organizer interested in you because there's a connection between you. Okay, so keep that in mind. You want to definitely have that personalization aspect. It's very, very, very important to have. The next thing that you're going to have is a catchy subject line. Now, this is whether you create the subject line yourself or use one of ours. I know in the Speak Your Way to Cash live online course, if you all are interested in getting that course, we have 4 or 5 templates because I give you the whole sequence that I use to pitch people and the subject lines and all of that. So those are far more robust. And if you wanted that, you can get it at ashleynicolekirkwood.com/Speak Your Way to Cash live replay. But so keep that in mind. Like, you can definitely do that. But if you're doing it on your own, you want a catchy subject, something that'll catch their eye. And it could be as simple as time to talk Tuesday, ? People are typically going to answer that because they're like, what do you want to talk about Tuesday? What is they're intrigued. So your subject lines, in order to make it catchy, you definitely want it to be intriguing. You want it to be interesting. You don't want it to just be something that is long and about you. They don't know you yet, so they don't care about you yet. So making it long and about you won't help you yet. Now, once you get more notoriety, it could very well help a lot. But before then, you want to make sure that you're giving out a subject line that will really work for you. Okay, so personalization is really important. Outside of personalization, you definitely want to have that catchy subject line because that's going to be critical, and it could be short as well. I'm telling you, if the shorter you can make things, the better you will make things. And that's just a general rule of things, the better you can make things. So one of the areas that I see a lot of folks have problems in when it comes to pitching is, people don't know how to pitch themselves because they're not clear on what value they're going to bring. So it becomes very difficult to pitch themselves. One of the things you guys have to learn, or you should, is you want to put yourself in the footsteps or in the role, I guess, of the client. That person is actually trying to figure out who is going to make their event better. Now, what does an event organizer care about? I'll tell you, because I talk to them all the time. They care about butts and seats. So if you have an audience that you can invite them to, if you have a following that you can alert them to, if you have anything that would help, that would make you uniquely qualified to help them get butts and seats, then boom, they care more about you already, right? So that's going to be number one. Number two, they care about the quality of speaking. So you could send an email to them that's a little bit more salesy, but actually addresses some of their concerns. Like, hey, I know that we haven't met before. You're probably wondering, why am I reaching out to you? But I want to let you know, not only am I super interested in your event, I'm interested in your cause. And out of all of the event organizers that worked with me last year, 100% of them rebooked me this year. If you have a stat like that, let them know, because now they're like, okay, great, this isn't that big of a risk. And you could say something like, and I'm happy to connect you with my most recent client, X, Y, and Z, who had a great experience with me at her conference. You can talk about the unique things you'll do to market the event, just like as an aside. Like I remember I was pitching a conference cold from LinkedIn, and they just said that I would be speaking there, and we're just getting together the rate they're going to pay for like travel and honorarium and all of that. And they were saying, I told them like happy to do a video and invite all the HR directors to the conference that I will be speaking to in March. Because I'm doing a presentation for 500 HR directors, and their conference is for HR directors as well. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm happy to mention it to them on my live broadcast. That's super valuable to the event organizer. And I didn't say like, if you hire me, I'll do this, but it was just like as an aside. And on LinkedIn, I was sure to share the event. And so people were able to kind of see that I'm a team player beforehand, because the speaker, you feel like you're glam and everything else, but they could care less. Like they're trying to get butts and seats. That's their main goal. So you definitely want to think about ways that you can be uniquely beneficial to that event organizer. That's going to be critically important to your success. Any questions about this, about pitching in general, about some strategies to utilize when pitching? The other thing you can try, if you are sending out a lot of different pitches and you're trying to schedule people, you could say, hey, happy to schedule with you directly or with your administrator directly, or you could put some time on my calendar using this link. You can just give them a link. For colleges, I haven't done that as much. With corporate. When I'm reaching out to corporate folks, I do that all the time because I just know like they're busy, I'm busy. It's not, we don't need to go back and forth about dates. So I just send them the link. So hopefully, yeah, shorter is definitely better. Now, eventually they may ask for more information, or if they don't respond to you, then sending a bit of a longer email may work, but you need to make it like, try really hard to make it still short. So like, if it's like, if you want to do all your emails in 5 sentences or less, ideally, 2 paragraphs max, super max. But think of it, challenge yourself. First line, what am I emailing them about? Second line, who am I? Third line, why they should care about who I am. Fourth line, call to action. So if you have whatever you want your model to be, 1, why am I emailing them? 2, who am I? 3, why do they care? 4, what exactly I want them to do, short call to action. Then boom, you're not wasting their time, and you show them that you care about their time, but you're also showing them that you're really willing and ready to be respectful to what they have going on, which is a lot, guys. Trust me. Event organizers have a lot going on. So those are just some pitching tips, like bare bones pitching tips. There's a podcast episode that I recently did on how to get your cold emails opened. So listen to that podcast episode because it goes even more in depth on some of these strategies. And you definitely want to keep those in mind. And then we talk about pitching even more in person. I'm working with someone to help with even media pitching, because that's a whole nother strategy. And those of you who signed up early got the Be Your Own Press Secretary workbook that also has that. When you have a choice between the director or the assistant director, who do you reach out to? The director. Yeah, you're going to reach out to the director of student activities or the director of programming, or if there's like an event manager, you want to reach out to like the director of events. Always go higher. Reach out to the director. And what typically happens with me, like I'll reach out to the director and the director will put me in touch with the assistant director if that's the person who's leading up that particular event. But for the most part, I reach out to directors only. And in many instances, even in HR departments, when I reach out to HR directors, they are HR directors in name only, but they don't control the budget. So they have to reach out to someone else. So we're actually looking into maybe reaching out to more director levels, like director of operations, CEO, chief people officers are cool. Like that's a good title to reach out to in companies as well. So it really just depends, but director level is going to be best. Let them refer you to someone else, because ideally you want to get to the decision maker and make an impact. All right, guys. So that is that on pitching. If you have other questions on pitching, please let me know. I'll make another post so you can let me know your takeaways, and then we'll just do a questions post. And then tomorrow is the finale. Tomorrow's live broadcast is at 7 a.m. CST. I will definitely for sure be here because 7:30 a.m. I actually go to Accelerator downtown Chicago for my company. So my days are super early. And again, I apologize for this morning. And yeah, that's tomorrow. And then I did a poll in here about which what we're going to do for the conference. We're definitely going to do one of those, and I think it's going to be the private dinner. So I'll make an announcement about that tomorrow. So we have like dope announcements tomorrow. We're going to do a Q&A tomorrow. We're going to wrap it up. It's going to be amazing. Join, and we'll talk about the future challenge and how we can keep this party going.